Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2 of This Redeemed Life, and I'm Marian.
I'm Lauren.
And we're so glad you're here this morning with us. And I want you to know that I am Mom of the Year. My daughter is on an iPad right now because we are out of school and feeling good about that. YouTube Kids for the win. So yeah, this episode is brought to you by YouTube Kids. Just kidding, but we'll go with it. So what are we doing today, Lauren?
So we're going to take an opportunity just to get to know you a little bit better.
Wow, so fascinating. Just kidding. I'm an open book. Literally, my life is in print. So What's going on?
Okay, so first of all, why don't you tell us where you're from?
Okay, I am a Texas girl through and through. I grew up in East Texas in a little town called Lufkin, and I really know that shaped a lot of my personality and who I am, and I've lived all over Texas now. I moved from, after college, I moved to Houston and lived there. I love Houston. I love the Houstonians, the people of Houston. That's where I became a Christian. God really shaped my life in that city. And then I fell in love, and this amazing man swept me off my feet, and he swept me out of Houston to San Antonio, where I call home now. San Antonio is my home.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, So great. If you could be any movie character, who would you be? Or what movie character best describes you?
Okay, so I'm going to have to do a BC and an AD. So before Christ and after Jesus. So before Jesus, I would say that Bridget Jones pretty much described my life before Jesus. And if you've read the book or seen the movie, she was a hot mess express and looking for love in all the wrong places. But when that book came out, like my sister even called me, she goes, I am reading your life on the page. And so that was me before Jesus, was Bridget Jones.
The book is called Bridget Jones?
It was Bridget Jones' Diary, but then they made the movies. You're too young, right?
I'm too young. I don't know what that is.
I can't recommend it because it's not real pure, but that was me before Jesus, is Bridget Jones. For some of you older than this one, you may know what I'm talking about. For those of you not as old as this one, you're like, I have no clue. But anyways, Netflix. That's what Netflix is for, right?
Yeah, that's totally what
So post-Jesus, I could answer this in a lot of questions, but I think the ministry part of me, the part of me that loves to see women set free, this is going to be like a shocking answer, but there was a movie called Zero Dark 30. And in the movie, the character it's a true story about the woman who helped find Osama bin Laden and led the U.S. government to where he was hiding. And her intensity and passion and her drive to defeat the enemy, there's something in me that was like, I love her. I just loved her zeal and passion and intensity to defeat the enemy. So that's a really weird answer. If you haven't seen that movie, it's about the takedown of Osama bin Laden and the woman who was behind it. And I'm not saying I'm that grandiose, but I loved her passion. I loved her zeal. So.
Okay, so I have a new book to read and a new movie to watch.
Okay, yeah, there you go. I am not recommending Bridget Jones's Diary as our book of the month, but that movie was me before Jesus. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you ready for one more?
Yes.
Okay, so New Year's, everybody has big resolutions. Everybody's trying to give up all the sweets. What is your one food kryptonite that you feel like is going to get you every time?
Okay, so I really need prayer on this because I am really trying to be disciplined right now. Stuff just got out of control. And I have a severe weakness around chips and salsa. I think that's the Texas girl in me.
Yes.
You love cheesecake?
Yes, I love cheesecake.
I could go the rest of my life and never have another piece of cheesecake and be fine. But if you set a bowl of chips and salsa in front of me, I have literally, other than the Holy Spirit, I have no strength. I will eat the entire thing, ask the waiter for more, and I could just die with a bowl of chips and salsa and be completely fine. That's my kryptonite.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So if you don't know what chips and salsa are, you need to come to Texas and visit, and it's just kind of a staple of our diet. And it's what I'm currently trying to work off right now. So you're welcome for that.
I think it gets a lot of people in Texas.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Okay, so to jump right into more of the serious stuff.
Okay.
On our first episode, we talked a lot about the word redemption.
Sure.
And we talked about our core values and finding freedom. Can you take a minute to share with us your redemption story?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. So I feel like I've shared bits and pieces through books and all my teachings. I love to talk about what Jesus has done. Psalm 107 says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. It's like when you have been redeemed, you're not supposed to shut up about it. Psalm 107:20 says, we were redeemed because he sent out his word and healed them and delivered them from their destruction. Let them thank the Lord for his steadfast love, for his wondrous works to the children of men. If I could describe my life in one verse, it's Psalm 107:20. God literally sent out his word and healed me, and he delivered me from my destruction. We joke about Bridget Jones, but when I was living that way, I was absolutely living in captivity and living in destruction. Everything the world glamorized as fun and freedom, all of that absolutely held me in bondage, and the sin was destroying me. So all joking aside, but my redemption story, I grew up having a knowledge of God. I grew up having religion. And on this channel, we really want to make a distinction between religion and relationship with Christ. I knew the Bible stories. I grew up in church, but I never had a relationship with Christ. I wanted to be my own God. I had a misunderstanding of who Jesus was. I thought it was about the rules, and I was not good at keeping the rules. And I had a lot of brokenness and wounding in my life that the enemy took advantage of to lead me down a path of destruction. I thought I could find love in sex with men. I thought I could find my identity with all the stuff the world offered, and all of that just led to more and more and more brokenness. And as Psalm 107 said, that they cry out to the Lord. I was actually in a bar, and I was 25 years old, and doing what a lot of people do in the bar, trying to ease their heartache with alcohol, trying to find love. I was in a bar, and I said a simple prayer: God, if you're real, help. That was my first real prayer. And I said, and I didn't know how God would respond to me, honestly, because of my mixed up religious background. And God was so gracious. He worked in, he'd already been working, but a friend invited me to her church a few weeks later. That's where I heard the gospel. And if you're new, what the word gospel means, it's good news. I heard the good news that Jesus came to rescue me, and I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to clean myself up, that he wanted to come and save me from myself. And at that point, I recognized I needed saving. I recognized that I was broken. And so Jesus rescued me. And I just said yes to the gift of grace. And that's what the gospel is. It's grace. And so I said yes. And from that point on, I was not perfect, but I was made perfect in Christ. I received his righteousness. I received his free gift of having a relationship with the Father. And that began a journey for me. And what redemption is a journey of being transformed. It's a journey of being, first of all, we're set free because of what Jesus did for us, but now in our daily life, we are being transformed to be more like him. And so over really the last 20 years, I can't believe it's been that long, but the last 20 years of following Jesus, he's been progressively setting me free from the lies that held me captive. He's been progressively giving me new life, giving me freedom, telling me through his word, as it says, he sent out his word and healed them. His word has healed me body, mind, soul, and spirit. And so for me, my redemption has first of all been by the work of God through the gospel, but then falling in love with Jesus. As I've fallen in love with Jesus and got to know him through his word, there's a supernatural transformation that happens, that we are renewed, we're transformed, we're set free, but it's all been in this love relationship with Christ. 100% of it has been falling in love with the one who set me free, and then living in light of the fact that I am his. And now that changes everything.
Absolutely. Okay, so in our first episode, we talked a lot about just what it meant, or we talked about being held captive. What did that mean for you? What did that look like in your life?
So I was held captive to so many things. I'm going to throw out a word that you may or may not know. It's called strongholds. And strongholds are the places in our lives that the enemy has us in bondage. And so when I came to Christ, I was still captive to so many of the enemy's lies. Just because you're redeemed and born again doesn't mean you're free. And so freedom is a process. And I was held captive to lies about my worth,
Yeah.
See, as a little girl, I went through abuse, and I thought I was worthless. I thought I was unlovable. I thought I was usable. And so through the process of redemption, Jesus set me free specifically from that lie and has healed my life of it. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about on these episodes is what does that look like? I've been set free from fear. I think the enemy specializes in fear, and I was a captive to it. Fear of man, that I wanted to please man and be loved by people more than I want to be loved by God. And in that, you become a slave to people's opinions. You become a slave to what they think is true. And so Jesus has absolutely healed me and set me free from that fear. A fear of, I don't know how to say this rightly, but I was in bondage to this lie that I was unlovable. And really, my earliest memories were shaped and formed by that lie. And what God has done through me understanding my relationship with him and me understanding the word is he's written a new identity in my heart. That I am his beloved. And that's really my prayer for anyone who comes to these episodes and watches this channel, is that you would know who God says you are, and you would understand that the gospel was not just an event that happened 2,000 years ago, but Jesus Christ is a person who is alive today, the risen Christ who declares who we are. And in him, the voice of truth, we find out our identity. And that's what I would say, those are the three things that really, what held me captive, but really what Christ has done to set me free.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks. So next week, we get to talk about Lauren, and what a beautiful redemption story. It's going to be such a treasure for you to be able to share how Satan is very alive, and he is working in really some horrific places. And what I think is encouraging, there may be somebody watching this right now and their story is really dark and their story is really painful, but I feel like you're going to bring just such hope to someone that says, you know what, God can rescue me. So I'm excited for people to hear your story next week. So thanks for joining in today. And I always get so excited when I get to talk about Jesus. Like I can feel like the excitement in my heart, because he is better, and Jesus is redeemed and a redeemer, and he's not through with me, and he's not through with any of us. And you know, Psalm 107, if you want to read that this week, it just goes through all these places that God sets us free. And every place it says, let the redeemed of the Lord say so. So if anyone's wondering why we're doing these episodes, it's so that we can be those who say what great things God has done and what he can do for you. So we hope to see you next week.